About a club that Jonny knows very well, Manchester United, and a year in charge for Ruben Amorim. They marked it with a 2-2 draw at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest, and after the game, Ruben Amorim said this was a game that they probably would have lost last season. Jonny, what did you make of it?
Yeah, he's probably got a point there, and I think you can sort of see there's probably, this season anyway, there's a little bit more belief. You probably noticed over the last 3-4 games, a little bit more belief in their play. They signed some good forward players in the summer, I think, which obviously gives everyone a little bit of hope. They went 2-1 down in this game, obviously early on in the second half, but with the front line that they've recruited and the way they've been playing, even watching the game myself, I thought they're going to get back into it and they'll get chances to score, which they probably...
I guess this is what he's talking about. There's still that vulnerability around set pieces, clearing your box, to concede 2 goals in 2 minutes at the start of the second half, but then to find a way back into it.
Yeah, I mean, like I just said, I think with the quality of players they've got, you see Ahmad's goal there. Obviously, you've got Cunha and Buemo, Sesko coming in.
And they might have won it.
They might have won it with Ahmad right at the death, yeah.
This was 90 plus 4 minutes, and that would have made it 4 wins on the bounce.
But even from a defensive point of view, when you've got players like that who can sort of, when you do concede the 2 goals, you can sort of pull you out of trouble. It's always nice to have.
Let's have a look at Ruben Amorim's year in charge of Manchester United then. 44 Premier League points from almost effectively a full season, 37 games in charge, all competitions. He has won more than he's lost, but just one more. And of course, there was that 15th place finish last season. He talked about, the storm ahead when he took his first steps in the job, but they reached the Europa League final. And then, as Jonny says, that big transfer spend with more than £200 million actually lavished on those 3 forward players. All that in mind, and it was obviously a very difficult start. Do you see the sort of the green shoots of recovery now for United under Amorim? I
think so, and I think you can sort of see that in the performances. There's a bit of feel good. Obviously, didn't get off to a great start at the beginning of the season, which kind of had everyone probably a little bit fearful, but. We spoke about Sunderland earlier. They had maybe a more favourable start to the season. United actually had quite a difficult start, and you may be seeing that now where the run of fixtures probably suits them a bit better.
I want to talk about your experience as well of playing under Ruben Amorim, because you started his first game in charge against Ipswich,
yes, in
a back 3. Was it very clear from the outset this was the way they were going to play, and there was going to be no change to that?
I mean, he's been exactly like the same in the press. He says what's on his mind, and from the moment he came into the club, he was very clear on how he wanted to play, the system he wanted to play, and he laid that out for the players and showed us. We were on an international break at the time actually when he came in, so he sat down with the squad, showed us there's obviously a lot of players away missing. As soon as they come back, he sat them down, showed them we were all together. So he's been pretty clear on that, and he hasn't wavered.
You've got some questions around the way it looked from the start.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we analysed the first game at Ipswich. You were in that team, and it's just a few little questions around some of the clips, namely the 2 goals and a pressing clip we have. But you're in the position here where you're the left-sided centre-back in the 3. I just want to ask you a little question about the position of Dalot. Now, it feels like this is something he did at Sporting Lisbon. I think it was with Sebastian Coates, who I played with at Liverpool. But the centre-back always seems to pop in here to midfield. It doesn't happen as much right now. Was there any instruction on the reason why that player goes in there? Did you ever play central and have to go in that position yourself?
I played in the centre, a few of the sort of end-of-season friendlies that we played in. But more often than not, it's almost to give the keeper space. You don't want to be sort of stood on the keeper's toes and you're sort of 3 at the back. Some managers or coaches will swing their back 5, or they'll push a wing back high. One of the right centre back might go to the right back position. The middle centre back will go to the side. Whereas he's quite he likes to keep the structure of his team. Not too much moving parts. So you'd like to keep his middle centre-back.
So is it not that complicated? It's basically he's trying to create a back 4. And as you say, we spoke about Pereira at Wolves. We highlighted that last season, what he was doing, where actually the centre-backs would stay in there, but the wing-back would go really high, and one of the wide centre-backs would go into right-back. He just does that a different way, and is trying to create a back 4 to build up.
Well, instead of your whole back 5 sliding one way, he'll just move one player and move him forward a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's right from the start. This then does lead to the goal. So what a start it was.
Jonny with the pre-assist.
Yeah.
It all started from the back.
Was this a pattern of play that you worked on these first
We didn't
few
have
days?
much time, like I mentioned before. It was in the middle of an international break when he came in, so probably the majority of the players didn't meet up till probably the Thursday, and we played. It was a Sunday match, so we only really had a couple of days working on it. But
this is something we highlighted, not just about Manchester United, but every team that plays this system. The space to go up against that is the spaces here either side of the two central midfield players. We've just got you highlighted here because you're one of the wide centre-backs and you've got a decision to make there. Do you jump out? Do you stay? And you see you're caught in two mans.
Yeah.
Any instructions from the manager, or are you just playing your natural game in that system?
I think the manager wanted us to maybe jump in from maybe a little bit earlier when we were pressing. That has obviously it was a new system, so we're probably just getting a little bit used to it at the time. I've played left side in a back three many times in my career, but I think probably once or twice on the press he was wanting us to maybe be a bit more aggressive on it.
But it just looks like you're being really aggressive. Would that be your natural game, or was that instructions from the manager?
No, I think naturally you'd want to always jump in and press as a defender, and no one having played in a back three before, people always say you've got the spare man, so you want to be the one jumping in and sort of helping the midfielders out, because like you mentioned before, the two guys in midfield, I know they're not flat at this moment in time, one's deeper than the other, but the space is sometimes quite big. So
something that I think for every team who play this system, sometimes it's difficult to be really aggressive and press and push the opposition back. And it's really important that the centre-backs do jump. We've seen that in the last few weeks, especially from Luke Shaw. But it was really apparent in this first game. And I was just watching you here, and you've got the sort of... You're looking at the manager, and as this ball goes back, it looks like someone really trying to impress the manager. You look at him again, and you keep changing. And I'm thinking... Is Jonny getting ready for Monday Night Football or Strictly Come Dancing? I mean, that looks like somebody who's trying to impress the gaffer there. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, of course. But I think from this one, that was just probably a natural... maybe I was looking over to think, am I doing the right thing here? But I think naturally, like I say...
But that position that we find yourself in there, that is really aggressive for a centre-back to be that high in that position there. So, again, would that be like, OK, this is what the manager wants? Would he be happy with that? Because one of the, not frustrations, definitely not a frustration, one of the criticisms probably I've had watching United in that system is at times where they are a flat five and they can't get out to get pressure on the ball, and the two midfielders are almost left there just having to cover a huge amount of space.
I think when it's really high on the pitch, I don't think it matters what formation you're playing. At the end, you almost go man for man anyway.
Yeah.
So I think in the five in that situation, I'm just seeing the guys in front. I'm going to go in tight with them. Whether or not you're in a 4 or 5, I don't think it matters. But like you said, when you get pinned back in a 5, that probably happens a little bit more deeper on the pitch, maybe mid-block, and certainly towards the edge of your own box.
Obviously, you're with him for the start, and then through the rest of his sort of first half season in charge, if you like. We talk a lot about the system. Jamie talks a lot about the system, as does everybody. Yeah. Does he coach that system and the way that it operates a lot?
Yeah, I mean, he's quite structured in his training sessions in terms of the way he wants you to play, and most of the time, a lot of his sessions will be done in the shape. You know, and I think he's quite clever in the fact that he won't just put a session on just for the sake of it. A lot of it will be done in terms around structure, build up, how you want to defend, and he'll use those sessions. Obviously, last season, I was injured for quite a lot towards the end, but there was also a lot of games. So in terms of the training sessions, he will see that this season, with not being in Europe, as a chance to really drive those things home.
You're going to get the counters out, Jamie.
Yeah, we just want to
works.
look at and put the system out. We've done this a lot with Manchester United because, as I say, they're one of the biggest clubs in the world. We analysed them, we watched them so much. But we're going to look at the team that played at the weekend. And when I look at this team, I actually probably look at that and think, that is Manchester United's best team. I don't think there's anyone really missing who would maybe come into that. So, again, we go back to the first game, your experience with the manager. So, your experience plus your own idea on how this play. What are the positives of this system under Ruben Amorim, and what are the negatives for you?
Well, I mentioned earlier about there's not too many moving parts, so you're quite set in your shape. So, in terms of when they're defending, they'll be defending in a low block. You'll have most teams end up with maybe 5 at the back along the edge of your box defending, because you might have runners. So
are you classing that as a negative in that that this system can push you back?
No, I'm saying that when you are under attack and you are on the edge of your box, more than likely you will be in a 5. So the team's almost set to how they would defend on the edge of the box. On the other side, when you attack, when you push the wing backs up, when you're attacking, you'll have 5 on their last line, almost without having to move too much. Do you
think that's what he likes about the system? Because you can get almost 5 attacking players, even plus Bruno, into it.
I don't know if that's personal, but I'm just saying that I don't know if that's what he likes. But for me, sort of watching and playing a little part in it, if I was playing in a 5, I would say that's probably the benefits of it, that you can have 5 on the last line and also defend with 5.
I think what you're talking about as well, we see a lot of teams get 5 on the last line. Everybody does, and that's the way, and it's just different systems can get you that. I think the problem with this system is that when you think about wing backs, and think about the weekend, Ahmad, he's been getting questioned, he got caught out at the back post. But as a wing back, you're asked to be a full back defensively. So Ahmad's asked to be here and defend crosses at the back post. He got done by Gibbs-White. But then when he gets up here, he's asked to be a winger. Now, he is more of a winger. He's probably more suited to that position. But then Dalot's the opposite, where he may be able to deal with that better. But when he gets on the last line and they actually get the ball to Dalot, he can't beat a man. He's not going to play a clever pass. He's not going to get a cross in. So for me, that's a little bit of the downfall in terms of getting 5 on the last line, is whether these players have the quality. When you think of the other teams in the league, they'll still get the same numbers. But if that's Manchester City, that's Dorgu with the ball. It might be Phil Foden. You know, so it's a completely different profile.
Well, then it's about the personnel within the system. Then it's a bit like you were talking before from the Ipswich game with Dalot. Does he really want to go ways back to play as a centre back from the goalkeeper? So it's about the personnel then in that system, and you can talk about Ahmad getting done at the back post, but you might be back in that position anyway as a winger, filling in if you were playing 4.
Jonny, could I ask you then, I'm just thinking about the fact that you've been as a young player coming through Manchester United, you know the traditions of the club as well as anybody. This system for me doesn't feel right for Manchester United, as in like the history of the club. I think of wingers, I'm talking about Dalot receiving the ball in this position. That's Ryan Giggs, that's going back even for that's George Best, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
How would you feel as a Manchester United man in terms of this system going forward for the club, and whether, you know, you think of the players you played alongside as well?
I think as long as it's working, I think, you know, certainly in terms of supporters, people involved with the club, people just want to see the club being successful, and if they feel that this can be the best way to do that, they'll 100% get behind it, and you can see that with the fans, you know, get behind the manager. I
mean, Manchester United are probably on one of the best runs they've been on with Ruben Amorim right now. I think it's 4 unbeaten. But what would success look like for Ruben Amorim and Manchester United this season?
Definitely think qualifying for Europe, but I think they'll be pushing for a Champions League. I think now that you're sort of looking at it, I think they probably feel like maybe get a little sniff of that.
Do you still feel it's going to take more transfer windows to get the pieces that Ruben Amorim really needs to make this work?
I'm sure he's looking at it going, we've signed well in the summer. I hope the club back me again, whether that's January, whether they can do that or not. But going into the summer for the next season,
how vital, sorry, Jonny, how vital is Bruno to all this, do you think?
People are questioning why Bruno's playing in a deeper role, but he's kind of in those inside positions, probably doesn't suit. They're probably like inverted wingers, aren't they, playing in those sort of 10 positions? I think here gives him a little bit more. You miss his creativity, I suppose, towards the edge of the box, but the manager certainly gives him licence that when the team get higher up, Casemiro in this team will sit and Bruno will be able to join the attack.
Bruno Fernandes plays there because he's probably the only central midfielder they've got. I know he's not a proper central midfielder. The only player who can get on the ball, get on the half-turn and feed these players between the lines. And that will take us to our next piece, Dave, after the break.
Ah, there is a theme. I like that. I like that. There is a link there. Yeah, we've got...
Now let's head to the City Ground, where Manchester United's opener in their 2-2 draw against Nottingham Forest caused controversy. Well, here's the incident then. The Forest player trying to keep the ball in, and it appeared to have gone... Yeah, it appeared to have stayed in. Dermot, you got to explain this to us.
Well, the assistant's made a judgment which I feel it's obviously not out. Why he's made that judgment, I don't know, because if the ball does go out and he doesn't see it, I can understand that, because he has got 2 goalposts there. He's made a judgment from 75, 80 yards incorrectly. You know, he's probably thought it's gone out, but it hasn't.
Yeah, I completely agree there. The ball's definitely not gone out, and the fact that the linesman has made a judgment call from about, 70 yards? I mean, the referee was closer. I know he's at a bit of a different angle, but the referee was definitely closer. It's just too far to say, but again, this is twice in 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, there's goal line technology. Maybe that can be used across the whole byline. But then obviously VAR, I mean, they can't change the rules this year, but it's definitely something they need to look at for next year because, it will cost teams ultimately.
We've highlighted the assistant referee in those clips there. Do you think he made the decision?
Say again, please.
We've highlighted the assistant referee in those clips there just to show how far. Do you think he made the decision?
Yes, I do, because he's the only one that's in that position to make it. And as I said, Julia, it's not ideal, is it? Because he's got so many things in his way. I still go back to the fact, if this is the line and the ball's over it and I can't see, you're going to forgive me. You're not going to forgive me for giving something that didn't happen.
Do you think would the linesman have been speaking to him saying, I can't see from here, it's your decision?
I really don't know. I mean, he's flagged. If you look, the linesman's flagged, so he's made the decision. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
The referee, I feel for, because you're not, that depth, you're not going to see whether the ball's over the line. It's got to be wholly over the line. It wasn't far off being wholly, but it wasn't wholly over the line. If it hit the line like that, you wouldn't give a goal.
Well, let's hear what Nottingham Forest manager Sean Dyche made of it after the game.
I just can't understand it. You're an assistant referee, you're 70 odd yards away, you've got a goal and a net in the way, but apparently you can see. I've got a better view and I'm not in the right position. So that's got to be wrong, in the current climate. The thing that annoys me the most, I'm a big fan of VAR, that's like someone's got to be able to overrule these decisions just really quickly. That'll be 5 seconds. You just go, that's in play. And it's deemed out of play and they whack it in, they score a goal. With all the technology and all that's at stake, particularly for us at Nottingham Forest Football Club after the start the club's had, that's a big moment, and all of a sudden that goes against you. And that's very, very frustrating when it could be really easily cleared up for me.
Yeah, Jay, Dyche wants the VAR to be able to intervene quickly with something like that, says it's a mistake. Should they be able to do that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think that would take long. When you look at the time that a player would pick up the ball, go to the corner flag, place the ball, and then step back to look at what he's going to do. The players are obviously coming up as well. They're going to organise themselves for set piece because that's where the game is at right now. It wouldn't take that much time to see if the ball is out or in. That's something they can do, and it wouldn't slow it down any more than it normally is when someone's taking a set piece.
I think that's great on that one, isn't it? There's no doubt about that could be cleared up very quickly. But once you check that one, you've got to check everyone. The one the week before would have taken a lot longer because they replayed it. We replayed it last week to look to see if it struck him on the way out. So,
but we spoke about that one. And
we did, but
you can see that you can see that when you slow it down.
You can
the first time,
but that wouldn't have been cleared up in 4 seconds. Not like this one. This one's relatively easy, isn't it? Because the line's there. The line is a clear marker. There's no doubt about that.
We're saying 4 seconds though. I don't think if we video most of the set pieces now, because the players have a routine where they set up. You've got your players getting the ball, placing the ball. It's going to take more like 10 seconds. I think you can look at that in 10 seconds than you can, and it will just get cleared up. Then there's no talking about it. There's no debates. No one's going to be moaning about these decisions.
But it's got to be everyone, and you can't just have that one. It's got everyone that goes
out as well.
Every corner has got to be checked, hasn't it? Every single one.
Yeah, but again, every single one. Like, how often do you really see, quick corners now? You don't really see them no more. The defenders are coming up, and they're not sprinting up either. They're jogging up. They're jogging up. They're getting self-placed where they want to do. Is it going to go near post? Is it going to go far post? And then the corner is taken. So I think they have enough time to have a look at that and make a decision. I think Dyche is right 100%.
Well, you can understand Dyche's frustration given it's the second week that it's happened now. Lawmakers IFAB have said during the week that they won't change that rule to allow VAR to intervene in a scenario like this. Why are they reluctant to change it, do you think, Tim?
I think that at the moment they've got the set protocols. They're looking to expand it. They're talking about the second yellow card. I think they're prioritising. And a player sent off a second yellow card, we saw a couple last season, that you think, well, he's very, very unlucky to be sent off. With that second yellow card, he might well not have been. Well, I think that's more important. It's unfortunate for Forest. This has happened in 2 successive games. That's why we're talking about it. That's why Sean Dyche is upset about it, because he's been on the receiving end twice in 2 games.
Yeah, Jay, the worry then is, I know your point that you're making, it won't take too long, but then the worry is VAR could then end up being involved in every decision down the road.
But that's what VAR is for, especially when it costs you a goal. You know, if it's going to cost you a goal, I think a lot of managers, a lot of teams will say, you know what, it's cost us a goal here. I'd prefer you to check it just in case. And again, it's not slowing the game down. The ball's out of play already. So it's going to be a case of having a quick look to see it. Yes, you're right, like the Tavernier one. It might take a little bit longer, but I don't think it's going to be any longer than what it would be for a set piece to be taken. So you can look at it in that moment.
Yeah, now there was also a question about Amad Diallo's equaliser. Dermot, could you take us through that one, please?
Yeah, it strikes his arm on the way through, doesn't it? But the rule is, has he scored? No, so he's not penalised for that. Is it deliberate? No. What it does, it brushes his arm on the way through. If you watch, it gets knocked out, brushes his arm there. It's not a deliberate play. So the game goes on, gets cleared, he shoots, but not handball.
You know, obviously it does brush his hand. A goal comes of it though, doesn't it?
It does.
And in that respect, then, would you be saying that, well, a goal comes of it, it is handball, you know, should it be given?
But it wasn't deliberate, was it?
I know it wasn't deliberate, but it's still handballed it, and a goal has come because of it.
If he was a defender, would you give a penalty?
For that one, you've got me on this one. I'm going to come back to you on that one later.
I wish they could show him. He looks incredibly smug with the way he's posed that question to you now.
Don't worry, he knows I'm going to come back later now.
He's got you there, right.
Got to get it in the bank early, Julie.
Yeah, clearly. I wish they showed how smug you look. Well, there was a question then of offside with Matthijs de Ligt. We're going to move on, though, to the Etihad, because Gianluigi Donnarumma was furious with referee Anthony Taylor when he thought he was fouled